and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Kayfabe. I am your host, Brian Resner, and I'm sitting here with Adam Harris, Derek Jones, and Stephen Barker. And you know what we're talking about? We are talking about the fact that the House of Kayfabe is everywhere. We are front row. We are side row. We are back in the back. We are in the nosebleeds. We are maybe backstage. Who knows where we're at? But we are at all the hot wrestling events in March. And it took two of us to do it. Derek Jones, he was live at Dark. He was live at Rampage. He was live at Revolution. I was at Smackdown. I was at Dark. I was at Dynamite. I was at Rampage. And I was at Smackdown. WWE Smackdown on Friday. We have went to a lot of wrestling, Derek, and I know Adam and Steven did not get to go with us, but you definitely want to hear our stories, right?
Oh, yeah. I have some questions.
For sure.
I have
For
inquiries. Sure. So my first inquiry is this, okay. And I think, Brian, you'll have the best the gauge of this since you went to both feds.
Yes.
Which crowd is better? Right
AEW.
now, just end it. I figured that.
AEW's by far. AEW's show was better. The vibe in the building was better. I mean, I had a blast at SmackDown. Do not get me wrong. My seats were glorious. I had really good seats. I was 3 rows back from ringside. I was 2 rows away from the entrance ramp. But the way they had put together the Miami Heat Arena, they had made it a lot smaller. So in all actuality, I could have thrown a rock and hit the set or the ring. I was so close to both, which is kind of weird because normally, like if you're near the entrance ramp, you're far away from the ring. If you're by the ring, you're far away from the entrance ramp. But I was somehow able to, because literally there were 3 rows. I was 3 rows back from ringside. There were 2 rows behind me, and then the entrance ramp. So there were only 5 people between the ring and the entrance ramp.
And this is SmackDown?
And this is SmackDown. Yeah. Wow. So I thought that was a really weird setup. They set it up to be a very small, closed in arena type feel.
They're hiding low attendance.
They are. And AEW didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound that much different than the house show we went to, WWE house show we went to in Huntington this year. Sounds like it was set up very similar because that setup sounds exactly like what you're talking about for SmackDown.
Right. And Huntington is not a big. That's not a big.
No, it's small.
That's like 7,000 people.
Exactly.
Like you know where it's the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Arena. So it is a big arena. It did not feel like a big arena. The way they put it together, it was a very small show feel. AEW felt like a big arena show. So it was just, it was really weird. I also noticed the last time I seen AEW, of course, was 3 years ago. We went to Dynamite in Miami. That was actually with my other podcast franchise with Shane Douglas. Stephen P. New took us out to Miami, and we seen Bash at the Beach, Dynamite. And I remember going to the merch stand, and it was like 4 t-shirts on the wall and piles of t-shirts in the back they were picking from, and it wasn't set up professionally at all. Now we go into Dynamite, they've got the full-on merch set up, and it was professional as hell. And I love their merch stand. I'm always a big fan of checking out the merch stand to see, who's got their shit together. AEW definitely has a great merch stand. I don't think it was better than the New Japan one. We will see what the New Japan merch stand looks like on March 20th when House of Kayfabe invades Strong Style Evolved. But this AEW merch stand was definitely better than the WWE merch stand.
And that's the thing that everybody talks about with WWE is they have, that infrastructure is so much more superior than anybody else. So if like AEW is competing on that level, and they got, the all these growing pains that we've had to go through with 3 years of AEW seems to be paying off then.
Well, here's something that I noticed about the AEW merch stand that I thought was interesting is you go to the WWE merch stand and you say, what sizes do you have? And they will tell you they have maybe 1 or 2 shirts in a 3X. Everything else is going to be large to 2XL. You're not going to find smalls. You're not going to find mediums, and you're not going to find over 3X unless it's a very rare situation.
That may just be that just may be because wrestling fans are
That's demographics right there.
Demographics.
Well, no, it's not, because I was literally one of the first people in the building for the WWE. So, I mean, I'm walking up on this merch stand fresh out the box. They just got started. So I'm looking at what they came with, and what they came with was what I'm talking about. Now, AEW, on the other hand, you walk up, they say, which shirt do you want? You say, what sizes do you have? And they say small through 5XL in everything.
5XL, my God.
Small through 5XL. Small through 5XL in everything.
You are not in a 5XL.
I like my shirts to be bigger, and I know how shirt. Here's the thing: when you are 6'4" and you put on a wrestling T-shirt, you have one wash, and then it's a belly shirt. So that's the thing for me. I have to buy at least 2 sizes big to get the length.
Now, Derek, did they have your medium at AEW when you were there?
So, for the same reason, because again, one wash and it draws up, I buy a large, thank you.
Okay.
But yes, they had it in every shirt that I wanted.
And what shirts did you get?
I got the Punk MJF dog collar shirt. I got a really sweet AEW I Was There shirt, and it's not like when you go to an AEW event, they always have one shirt that has I Was There printed on the back. Well, this one is just an AEW, and it had I Was There like graffitied all over it. It's really cool looking.
Okay.
So I will show you what I received at the merch stand. I got this CM Punk shirt, best in the world. I also picked up a Danhausen shirt.
I got Brittany one of those.
Yes. And I was able to also pull off an Adam Cole baby shirt.
Nice, that's a cool shirt.
I also found a Cody Rhodes pin. Thought that was pretty cool.
Limited edition.
Yeah. Cody Rhodes pin. It's kind of got some bedazzled glitter on it.
Was it
cool.
was it on clearance?
It was not. It was $10, just like all the other pins. There were also action figures at the merch stand, which I thought was awesome. You never see action figures at WWE. I didn't see any action figures at New Japan. I did notice that AEW took kind of New Japan's flow. When you go to the WWE, there's several lines, and you get in one, and eventually you're going to get up there and you're going to talk to somebody and you're going to pick some stuff. Well, New Japan does a line thing. The only thing that AEW didn't do that New Japan did is New Japan actually gives you a basket. They hand you there's like stacks and stacks and stacks of baskets. They hand everybody a basket. You go through the line and put everything you want.
That's dangerous because you can only buy what you can carry, man.
Right. So in the AEW situation, you walk up and you are waiting in line. And when you get your chance in line, the whole merch stand is yours. You pick whatever you want from the merch stand all by yourself. You don't have to worry about somebody saying, oh, I want that and I want this. When it's your turn, you got free reign of the entire merch stand, and you make your deal right there with your guy, and he picks every single thing that you want. It's actually possibly maybe one of the best ways to buy merch that I've encountered. Even though I like the New Japan style, it is still kind of chaotic. The AEW style is a very good way to purchase wrestling merch.
Having been on some treasure hunts with Adam Harris, that is a good way for Adam to just break his bank. Could you imagine if you had that ability?
Right, and that's what happened to me. So I go there. On each side they have action figures. One side they just have regular AEW action figures, and I had every single one of them except for the Darby Allin TNT Championship with the skateboard. So I of course picked that up.
Nice.
And then on the other side, they had action figures that are signed. Well, every single action figure that they had, I wasn't really that into the signature, except for one. And one stood out to me. Little did I know that I would watch him make history later that night and become the first man to ever hold the TNT championship and the tag championships. But I got myself a Scorpio Sky.
Dude.
Action figure.
Auto. Nice.
So it makes it even better because, I mean, we know you're a Florida guy now, Brian.
That's right.
But look at the back of that figure,
Right.
and it's stamped Charleston, West Virginia.
That's right. As much as you're trying to wipe the dirt off your shoes and denounce your home state of West Virginia, Brian, that figure is super special. That's our place. That's West Virginia's place in wrestling figure history.
I don't know why they haven't come back here, because me and Adam and Derek both went in the first couple months, right, of AEW's existence.
It was like their third show, I think.
Really?
Yeah, third Dynamite.
And it was well attended. It wasn't sold out, but it was very well attended, especially for a brand new federation. And they haven't been back here. It's ridiculous. They need to.
Well, WWE's done nothing but Ohio lately. You know, I mean, we saw SmackDown in Cleveland last summer, but I mean, even this year, they've already run 3 or 4 televisions in Ohio
just a couple weeks ago.
Right. So one thing that I'd like to talk about is Derek Jones, your experience. Did you actually went to the Fan Fest?
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about.
So who all did you get to meet? What was the deal with all that?
All right, so the Fan Fest, and before they started with All In, and they started with Starcast, and they had Starcast at a couple of the other pay-per-views. The Fan Fest is a new thing they're doing. They've only had a couple of these. A couple in the past have been very well put together. This one was not very well put together whatsoever. It was the most unorganized cluster I've ever seen in my life.
Damn.
It was. I'm not.
Oh, shit.
And look, you guys know I am AEW through and through.
I wasn't expecting a burial here, Derek.
It was. I've been to too many of these things now, not to just let you guys know the truth about it. It was the most unorganized thing I've ever attended in my life.
Why?
Explain this. Tell me why it was so unorganized. What happened?
So they tried to have the Fan Fest, and so they rented the same arena for all the shows, for Rampage, the Fan Fest, and for the pay-per-view. So they had Fan Fest in the same arena. The setup is still the same. They didn't do any teardown. The ring is there. They put a big drop sheet with AEW logos up on one side of the ring, and that's where they brought talent out, where you could come out and do meet and greets. They had other people down this hallway doing meet and greets, other people down this hallway doing meet and greets, and no one knew where anything was because there were no signs. You basically just had to ask everybody, hey, who's that way, who's that way, and who's that way? And they would tell you, but they weren't sure because they were behind, they were late, and they were unorganized. Yeah. It was a disaster. However, when we first walked into the arena, there was a little bit of hope because when we first got in there, the Jazzwares booth was set up square as soon as you walked in.
Oh, sweet!
And it was fantastic being able to see these new figures that are getting ready to come out before they're ever even announced. So they did announcements all throughout the day, but all these figures were all set up there for me to look at. We were able to get pictures of them. There's a really cool Ricky Starks coming out where he had the Darby face paint on. There's a lot of guys coming out. There's a Lionheart, Chris Jericho. I mean, they're showing us all of these guys before
Thunder
they're ever
Rosa.
Even announced.
Yeah,
Rosa figures really
House
cool.
of Black.
Yeah.
We also heard about Brody Lee and Negative One.
So they actually did that in ring. They set up, the ring was set up. So some of the guys were coming out. Tony Khan comes out, introduces the guys from Jazzwares. They're coming out and letting us know they have a special release coming. We actually got to see a first true reveal. Negative One, Brody Jr., and Amanda Huber, they had not seen this figure yet at all. No one had actually seen this other than the guys at Jazzwares. So I got to see a true first reaction. Okay, so Brody Jr., Negative One, like he comes out on live TV. He's killing it. He's over the top. Like he's everywhere. He's not intimidated by anything. That kid was just in a shell when he saw himself as a wrestling figure. And it gave me chills.
I'm not crying, you're chills.
Crying. Yeah,
that's pretty special, man.
That's the moment, man. Like it was awesome. It's a really cool figure. And immediately they let us know, hey, in 15 seconds we're going to release this if you want to go online and pre-order it. And as soon as they counted the 15, I got online and pre-ordered it.
Oh, smart. Wow. So you could pre-order it right there.
right there before.
Oh man,
before
see,
it was
that's still
ever
some
announced.
carny. That's some carny stuff right there,
It's
man.
still carny.
Still, man.
Well, that
still.
gives me hope for AEW that they're still that carny.
So,
oh man.
so that
And
part
Derek
was cool.
Jones hook, line, and sinker on that.
Yeah.
Markish,
Yeah.
Markish.
Dude, huge mark.
At what point in the day did they do that though? How did you know that was happening if it was so unorganized? Like, were you just in the right place at the right time?
Right place, right time. So to start, we were walking around the arena and we heard Jericho's music hit, and we just thought, okay, so they're just going to play Fozzy in the arena. And we walked down and sat down, and then sure enough, here comes Jericho out to the ring just to talk to everybody. And he, just low key, hey, how's everybody doing? I'm having a meet and greet. It's going to be through this door because nobody knows where I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to be in that room right there. 100%.
Jericho's got to be his own carnival barker.
Yeah, so then he left and I was like, okay, so maybe somebody else will come out. Well, then Danhausen comes out and he has a cool little skit set up with the House of Black. Very entertaining between those guys. Malachi Black has one of the best promos in the business, and he is a true professional. Unbelievable. Well, we just kept kind of hanging out because people kept coming out, and I don't know if it was planned. Some of it obviously had a little bit of structure to it, but I don't think they really knew who was coming, who was going at any particular time. And then all of a sudden, Tony Khan comes out and he announces the guys from Jazzwares. So I was like, okay, so they're going to announce something kind of cool. Well, then they start to tell us about the figure of -1. And like I said, we just kind of hung out and waited to see what else was going on.
It was so cool. It went viral, on Instagram and Twitter, the reveal, which was really special. It's nice. It's great that they did that.
So who did you get to meet?
So they had a lot of the guys from Dark is really the meet and greets, unless you wanted to pay big bucks to go meet Hangman Page, or you wanted to pay the $200 to meet Jericho, or whatever it was.
It was $200.
$200 to meet Jericho.
Did that include an auto?
That included an auto and that exclusive Jericho figure that has the red and yellow design that we shared in the chat on the t-shirt. The Le Champion or whatever figure that he just come out with. It's the one of 3,000. So he only did like 40 of these meet and greets, maybe. But every one of them got that figure with the auto on it.
Right,
it's weird, but that's like a good price point for me. Knowing you get that fig though, man, that might push me over the edge. I might have signed up for that.
See, I didn't know about the fig. Otherwise I would have went to that. I just thought it was $200 to meet Jericho, and that was a little much for me.
All right, so quick side story here. In my past life, I booked Chris Jericho twice for Fozzy gigs, and when I booked him for Fozzy gigs, I remember when Jericho said that he wanted 6 figures to do a wrestling appearance or a wrestling booking whenever he was not under contract with anybody. That's when he was going to New Japan and was doing, things here and there. But when it came to doing a wrestling show, he wanted 6 figures. It was
6 figures?
He said that in an interview. If he was going to do an offshoot wrestling show, he would want 6 figures to do it. So that made me think, it was like, wow, I booked Chris Jericho and it didn't cost me 6 figures. It didn't even cost me 5 figures. So, what gives? And like you're saying right now, you had to pay $200 to meet Chris Jericho. So for me, when we did the booking with Chris Jericho, we actually were able to do a meet and greet with Chris Jericho with about 250 people. And he did it for free.
Whoa.
What's telling there is it cost you 6 figures to see him wrestle. It cost enough that some dude in Beckley, West Virginia could afford Fozzy. So, I mean, it's kind of telling you where we're at here.
We booked Fozzy pretty cheap. And like I said, he did the meet and greet with like 200 people for free. He met every single person. He autographed every single person's stuff. He met everybody.
Because he has to. He don't have to do that when he's wrestling. He had to, and he's playing butt rock King's Fozzy, of course.
Butt Rock. Why you hate on Fozzy so bad?
Because it's terrible. I mean, like 500. I mean, like, dude, I love Chris Jericho. There's my fucking one of 6 figures that I own. I love him, but I'm also a musician with a discerning ear. And dude, they make Five Finger Death Punch look like Led Zeppelin. They're fucking terrible.
Is this the part where he boo you again, or what?
I mean,
What are you-
fine. Adam, what's your favorite Fozzy song, Adam?
I want to hear more about the fan fest. Quite honestly, man, I want to hear and like honestly.
We don't need to bring up Five Finger Fruit. Five Finger Fruit Punch.
Camouflage Rock. Camouflage Rock.
Oh shit!
All right, so back to the Fan Fest. Beyond the ideas of the stage shows, you're able to meet guys like Top Flight. You're able to meet Abaddon, which was super good for me.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
You know, yeah.
Derek Jones thinks Abaddon's very talented.
I'm a big fan of Abaddon. just gonna throw that out there. Big fan. But another cool thing, aside from the meet and
All
greets,
about that gimmick.
Upper Deck had a booth set up as well, which was by far the coolest thing of the whole event. They didn't advertise this enough. They should have. They should have pushed this even more, made it bigger than what it was. So Upper Deck had a booth, and when you're standing in line at the booth, free booth, don't have to pay a dime for it. They gave you an uncut sheet of cards.
That's so dope.
That's so cool.
From the new series coming out, the Spectrums. All right. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
But it's pretty cool.
No,
They did a similar deal at
that's not just
Comic
pretty
Con
cool,
in
'cause do
New
that
York,
again.
I think.
I was going to say, do that again and then actually name everybody on there because that's like all who you want.
And there's a few people on here, or at least
Tay
one.
Conti, Adam Page, MJF, Brian Danielson, CM Punk, Jade Cargill.
And Jade is not in the first set that came out. Okay,
Right.
so what you're seeing right there is
That's a rookie.
Yep.
And then
exactly.
Jungle Boy and Britt Baker.
Yeah, that's who you want in AEW.
That's a great. Now, what else did they give you?
But see, the coolest thing about if you stood in that line long enough, and it wasn't a bad line, it wasn't a long wait, you got your own FanFest card.
Oh my God.
Dude,
Right there.
Derek just moved into the master bedroom in the House of Kayfabe, I think, man. Holy shit. Damn.
And he's doing his gimmick too.
Damn.
It's awesome.
Damn.
Adam's
So-
wanting to know how much you want for an auto on that.
And
The only thing, the only thing better than that is Mullins as a kid on the cover of PWI.
No shit.
Well, and the cool thing is, it took them like 30 seconds to make that thing. It's a real card. It's not like just a little thin piece of picture paper or nothing. Like it's a real actual playing card. Like it's just like something you'd pull out of one of these packs. No difference. Super cool. Like it was such a nice touch. And it's funny because all the wrestlers come and got their own cards made for some reason. RJ City was there doing interviews with everybody. He got his own card made. Danhausen and Jade have a card together. Like that was the most fun of the whole weekend, was watching the wrestlers go get their own cards made, even though they have their own cards.
That's really cool, dude. That's really freaking cool that Upper Deck would do that. And it just shows that they're a good fit for this brand, and the license is in good hands with them, I think.
And
I would say so.
They were super cool. Like they were so down to earth there. Nobody looked like they belonged. Like they were marks like the rest of us. They were there in wrestling t-shirts and blue jeans, just talking to everybody about it. They were enjoying their job, and that made me enjoy the experience even more.
I now know what the thumbnail for this video is going to be, is the Derek Jones card. You got to send that to me after this. Well, let's get to some wrestling. Y'all, like we saw cards, we know Brian is big rolling where he's got first row tickets everywhere. Let's talk about wrestling. What Brian Resner, real quick, the best, because you went to two different feds. Give me the best match of all of the wrestling that you saw, and then I want Derek to give me his.
The very best of all the wrestling.
Every one of them.
One match.
One match.
So if I'm going to say one match, I'm going to say Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky by far. But if I was going to say moment, I'd say the biggest pop I heard all week was from Jeff Hardy.
Oh my God. So we got to talk about that. So I have a 70-inch television and we knew that Rez was going to be there, but Brian like kind of buried the lead that he was going to be literally front row camera side. So I'm
middle of the hard cam.
My waifu's never seen Brian. And I was like, hey, that's Brian, a guy I'm always talking about right there on my fucking television. And when
I did the same thing, I was like, hey, that's Brian Resner.
That's the guy we talk about all the time. And then Jeff Hardy came out, and Brian Rez, who is, this many years old, wait,
before you say this, I woke up this morning and seen it on Bleacher Report and was like, oh my God, I look like a fucking mark.
Dude, I got to see grown-ass father businessman podcaster turn into 15-year-old Mark.
Absolutely.
Dude, it was so wholesome.
Oh man.
Like I was so glad to be able to do this recording because I wanted to put that over. And I was like, look at that. That's what wrestling is. That moment right there is what we all chase. It's this dragon that we're all chasing. And that one moment is everything what wrestling is. Even though you've probably seen Jeff Hardy how many times at shows.
You know what's interesting is I seen Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy return at WrestleMania. Live.
I was just going to say, I think you've seen a couple really important Jeff Hardy moments.
I was there when Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy returned at WrestleMania. And I swear this felt like, I don't know if it was because I was closer and because I got to interact with him, but it felt just as big as WrestleMania's return. Like it really did. And the crowd at AEW just put so much more into the show. It's like, I'm an ECW guy. I've always been an ECW guy. I've always loved ECW. And one of the things that made ECW what it was the crowd experience. Those crowds kind of set the standard for crowds in wrestling for the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't feel that anymore. Like I kind of get that vibe from like GCW. When I watch a GCW pay-per-view, I get that vibe from their crowd, but I hate their fucking wrestling. So it's like, it doesn't do anything for me because yes, these people are going nuts, but they're going nuts over Nick Gage, some crackhead who doesn't even belong on a wrestling show. So it's like, yeah, you guys are going nuts, but man, I don't agree with you at all. But at AEW, this crowd is like an ECW crowd, but almost with more love. There's like ECW, the crowd was going nuts, but they were full of a lot of rage and a lot of pent up.
And they were ready to turn heel on you on a dime.
Yeah,
right. And
you fucked up. The
AEW crowd can turn on you on a dime too. Ask Cody Rhodes. But the whole deal with AEW's crowd is they have this love for like every single person. Like every single person, they love them. And even when they boo somebody because it's a part of the show.
They boo as a work.
Yeah, they are a part of the work. And that's what makes the AEW crowd so special is they are playing along because they may boo that person, but they love that person. And they love every single person, I guess, except for Cody Rhodes. But
Smart.
I love Cody Rhodes. I mean, I got the pin, the bedazzled pin.
God,
I'm gonna stick it right in my neck right here. That's
dude. Vince McMahon when he was in negotiations, he's like, "Well, pal, you're gonna have to probably wear a turtleneck every time you go out there, pal. You're a fucking moron."
Well, I told you about a moment that meant a lot, and I told you about a match that I considered to be a really big deal. But something I'd like to mention about the WWE show is at the very end of SmackDown. So SmackDown's over. The cameras are off. Now we're into regular, just kind of like a house show. Mm-hmm. And they bring Roman Reigns out again and the Usos, and they face the Viking Raiders and Drew McIntyre. And what was interesting about this, I've been to a lot of WWE shows, so I'm used to the 6-man blowout at the end after the cameras go off. I've seen it a million times. I've seen John Cena and Batista team up on one of those deals. So I've seen a lot of those, but this one was special. And it was special because they were testing things. They were testing things that they normally don't do. They were doing things they normally don't do. And Roman Reigns was wrestling like a face, but like The Rock as a face.
Well, I mean, that's where we're going. You know what I mean?
Well,
After this wonderful heel move, he's got to be John Cena now.
Well, that's
But also,
we're headed to a Rock version of the Roman Reigns character.
Obviously.
and who are they fighting against? It was the Viking Raiders and who?
The Viking Raiders and Drew McIntyre.
Okay. See, none of those guys are over either. Like the audience is not going to be like, "Let's go Viking Raiders." You know, they're going to be like, "Damn, Roman Reigns is a badass."
They didn't have a chance to get over because Roman was playing the crowd so well. We're talking the entire crowd chanting, "We want Roman. We want Roman. We want Roman." He gets the tag. He comes in the ring. He draws back. And he tags the other.
Nice.
And the Uso comes in. Then they start chanting again. "We want Roman. We want Roman." He comes back. He does the same shit again. He doesn't actually wrestle in the match till the very end. But so he is doing this. He's just playing with the crowd, and you can tell he's having a blast doing it. Like, absolutely having a blast doing it.
I just want to say, Derek Jones says that Paul Heyman got Roman Reigns over. I remember him saying that. This might be true.
He's right at the
that
beginning.
Stuff right
He's
there.
Right at the beginning.
That stuff right there is what shows me that Roman actually has the whole world in his hands and is actually living up to the hype that Paul Heyman laid forward.
He is really showing that he has got a grip on this entire thing. Like he is in total control over this entire thing. But another thing that I thought was pretty interesting is Paul Heyman. He says something like, I can't remember what it was about, but he was like, "That guy over there said that I suck, and I may suck, but your mother taught me." And the whole crowd is going nuts because he said that. And then Paul acts like he is going to he's going to attack this fan.
Oh, that's great.
So he pulls his jacket off. And he throws it in the floor. And then the Usos are like holding him back. Roman's holding him back. And so the crowd busts out into an ECW chant. ECW, ECW. And just being able to be a part of an ECW chant with Paul Heyman in the building.
Did you start it?
No, I did not. I was just watching it in all of its glory. And then of course I joined in. But it was just an amazing moment to be able to chant ECW with Paul Heyman in the building.
Okay, so Derek, now give me your favorite match. Okay, so Derek, you did Dynamite.
I did Rampage and Dark, Rampage, and Revolution.
Give me your best match and your best moment.
Okay, so my best match is easy because the Young Bucks had a tag team match at Revolution.
Off. Oh my God.
But listen, it's the Young Bucks, Red Dragon, and then Jungle Boy and Botchasaurus. Botchasaurus didn't mess up one single thing, and I was very proud of him for that.
He had a good showing. I remember.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid.
He's been listening to Cornette.
But to me, that match, I love tag team wrestling, so it's hard for me not to love that match because it has two great tag teams and Jack Perry in it. So
and the AEW tag champs too.
And the AEW tag
champs. And those guys, right? So I really did. I really enjoyed that match. And again, it's one of those things where it's not always what you see when you look at it on TV, but the banter and the interaction from the guys with the crowd when the camera's not on them is what really kind of set it off for me, because the Young Bucks are completely interactive with the crowd right there behind them in their corner. And that's the corner I sat in, just talking and communicating and bullshitting and talking shit about the other teams. And it's different because in WWE, outside of that box, nothing exists. They don't interact a whole lot until, like he talked about, the cameras are off and it's a little different, but they don't break that fourth wall. They don't talk to people outside in the other world. The whole time they're wrestling in AEW, they're interacting with the crowd. And I really enjoy that fact.
And what's your best moment?
My best moment, because it happened like 15 feet from me, a 62-year-old man dove out of the rafters.
Don't quit doing that.
Stop. Somebody stop it.
Stop that old man. Derek, you were right there. You could have said.
You could have said, Sting, no.
Don't do this.
I could have said no. but instead I was chanting jump. I wanted to see
shit,
that.
bastard. Jump for my entertainment. Break a hip, you old prick.
Oh no. How's your insurance, Sting?
But it was so solid. Like he hit, and it looked brutal on TV, but to watch it in real life, it was fluid like that. It was great. I loved every second of it. The crowd around me was hyped, and they had been fighting in front of me. And when I say in front of me, I was on the edge chair right there. They had literally been fighting in front of me for 5-10 minutes. And, watching Andrade just abuse Darby was rough. Darby has taken some hard bumps in that match, and some may not have even made it on TV because he was just getting thrown around like a rag doll.
Well, that was the problem with that match, is there was so much bullshit going on. Because like that pay-per-view, I liked some of it, and a lot of it was just the stuff that I don't like about AEW. And that match from watching it on TV on my completely paid for and legal pay-per-view stream, it just was like a Michael Bay match. There was just shit going. It was like watching Transformers. There was just shit going on.
That's a great way of looking at it.
And you had no fucking idea what was going on. It was just too much.
I got to chime in here. I disagree with Barker. I thought Revolution was awesome. I
didn't say it was bad.
No, Revolution to me, I think was.
Did you see the women's matches?
The women's matches are hit or miss all the time in both companies, in all companies, but
not Impact.
Revolution, all in all, yeah, you're right. Not Impact. Impact has great women's wrestling.
They really do.
That's 100% true. But nevertheless, I liked Revolution. I got a question for you guys. Did you happen to see Sammy Guevara go through the table?
Yeah.
It's a good segue because the table spot Derek saw right in front of his face, you had a pretty bird's eye view for that spot, man. And you sent us a video.
I was
It
right
looked
there.
good.
It looked and sounded brutal.
So I have to tell you guys a story. This here is a piece of that table. Now, the reason I have this is because I had to turn on the intimidation factor with a guy who was cleaning up the ring. So the guy was cleaning up the ring, and I look over and I see this piece of table, and I said, "Hey man, can I get that small piece of table?" Because I'm right there beside you. You definitely hear me. I'm in your ear. He looks dead at me and goes, "No." And it made me want to jump the rails. So he
at this point, you've been there like 5 hours, right? Like you're tired, you're ready to go.
I mean, I want that piece of table. I don't care how long I've been there, and I'm going to get it. Whether
Resner is going to get the table.
So he picks the table up, and there's pieces of the table on the other pieces of table, and I just reach over and grab it and take it, and look at him like, take it back from me. Take it from my hand. And when you're in that, and you've got seeing wrestling, and you're pumped up with all the testosterone, like no one can tell you anything. So yes, I got my piece of table, and yes, that guy went ahead and pretended like I didn't, because it was what was best for business for him. However, I did get an autograph.
Unbelievable. This is what I want to hear. How on earth did you get this signature on
I
this
have
piece of
a
table?
hypothesis. Did you
That's
say
Tony Khan's.
Okay, so we know that is a Tony Khan autograph piece of table. I am wondering, did you do a line of cocaine off of that table
On the
with
table.
Tony Khan to get him to autograph it?
Anyone that knows me know that I'm not a cocainer. So no, I did not do cocaine with Tony Khan, but I will say this about Mr. Tony Khan.
He's a great showman. I mean, snowman.
Hold on. Now, I can't let you guys bury this man while I'm putting him over like I'm about to. I will say this. Tony Khan, not only when I tried to take a picture of Tony Khan, did he pose for me, just as he seen me taking a picture, so he posed for me. I don't know if you've seen it. It's the one where he's pointing, looking right at me. So he did that. Then he got out of the ring and walked over to us and had a conversation with us, and was just as personable as anyone could possibly be. When I said, "Man, thank you for what you're doing for wrestling." And he looked me dead in my face and said, "Thank you, because you are why this is happening. People just like you. And if I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't have anything. Thank you." And it felt so fucking genuine. Like he really appreciated every single person in the building. He came out several times and told everybody, "Thank you." He even got down on his knees.
Oh my God.
I swear, got down on his knees on the very top of the ramp.
Did you give him another $50 or what?
And said, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I believe that there is some respect that I have to give the man, because I see what he's doing. He doesn't have to do that. He's worth $6 billion fucking dollars. He didn't have to come fucking talk to me.
He didn't have to buy a Ring of Honor either, but he did.
He didn't have to do any of this. He did not have to do any of this. He did all of this for us.
To your point, I watched what you're talking about now. I actually independently kind of came to a similar conclusion, because I watched the Vince McMahon Pat McAfee interview, and if you haven't watched that, it's fascinating. You have to watch it. Pat McAfee can get a great interview. How did this, as Peyton Manning called him, stupid punter, become this great broadcaster? But he got this great interview with Vince, and what I noticed about Vince is that wrestling to him has become a business. And maybe he's never been, but he definitely isn't right now a mark for wrestling. It is a way to make money, and he's incredibly good at it. He is the best that's ever done it. But he doesn't love Vince McMahon is not talking about his favorite match of the week to Linda, right? That's not happening. When I watched that interview, I was like, we have, thankfully, finally, a mark billionaire. And I think we have to have that in today's day and age, because, man, the wrestling crowd is shrinking. Let's be honest, man. This is a niche. This is as niche of a pastime as you can get. And we have to have a mark billionaire. And Tony Khan has finally put together a good federation. After a while, there was going to be growing pains, which is why in all of our previous episodes, and everybody watching on YouTube, if you want to go see and listen, well, not see, but listen to our old episodes, it's all on your favorite podcast streaming services. We have, probably 15, 20 episodes and segments before we started our YouTube channel. Every time that Brian Resner would say, Barker is our AEW hater, I always said, I'm not the AEW hater. I'm just saying that this shit right now sucks. Chris Jericho jumping in a goddamn pool of orange juice is fucking stupid. But I always said that I am an AEW hopeful, because we needed them. We needed a good wrestling federation, because ROH, which I'm probably the biggest ROH mark in the house, was never going to be or have the capability of being on the national level and international level that AEW has. And man, Derek, how much you love me. Dude, AEW has finally put together a roster that isn't fucking embarrassing. I said it in the fucking chat, and I want to talk about this moment. I have been specifically, when I watch a pay-per-view or a special event from WWE, I try to stay away from dirt sheets because I want to be surprised. I'm sick of getting, spoiled, the spoiler, right? So I said in the chat, if William Regal gets signed by AEW and he gets to fucking run Ring of Honor, I will get a fucking AEW tattoo. When William Regal came out on that Bryan Danielson, Nick Gage of AEW match, I woke up teenagers in my household. As a 45-year-old man, I jumped up from the fucking couch and screamed, and our 18-year-old came downstairs to make sure that everything was okay. Made she, she had no idea what was going on. Dude, if you bring William Regal in, I'm going to be a fan. I don't care if you have botchamania young bucks that 75% of their shit land and looks terrible most of the time. You bring William Regal in, and if you let him run Ring of Honor, Tony Khan, fucking here's to you, buddy. Anytime
I want to hear what it was like.
Give me a call.
Well, I want to hear what it was like to be there for that.
So Derek Jones, tell me.
Listen, and Brian touched on it a little bit. The AEW fan base, the live attendance crowd is a different specimen because they're not just cheering and booing the guys they love and hate. They're interactively being a part of the show to make it even better and more enjoyable for everyone. When he come out, there was a moment of silence because it's like everybody had to take a breath, and then the freaking roof went off. It was unreal. Unfreaking real.
Wow.
He got a big pop on Dynamite as well.
Because William Regal is just universally loved. And actually, coming up, YouTube audience, we are going to post an old episode of ours, which is all of us, the whole house, everybody in the house, talking about our Mount Rushmore of wrestling. It's going to be up in the next couple weeks. And in that, we all got our like fifth member, so we could squeeze ours in, and it would be all of our choices of who wouldn't be Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, Rock, Andre the Giant. And my fifth one is William Regal. I love him. I love him as much as The Rock. I love him as much as I love Chris Jericho.
I've always said that Regal is one of the GOATs, and Steve, you'll attest to that too, because we've talked about it, just
for
how
years, me and Adam. I've known Adam Harris for fucking 20 years, and we've talked about William Regal the whole time.
And I love now, like, here's a whole new phase, right? We've already thought he was one of the GOATs. What's going to happen now, man? I'm excited for Regal, no matter what.
Let him book Ring of Honor. Try to get as much of that talent back as possible. Try to go to Impact and NWA and get cherry pick from there, and just let him put together the best major indie possible. Because if there's anybody that can do that, is William fucking Regal.
Well, seeing William Regal get interviewed by Tony Schiavone when that hadn't happened in 9 years, that was a big moment. I think that was a big. They got a pretty big pop.
He legit teared up. I mean, I was buying that. I don't know if he was selling it or not, but I was buying it.
However, Tony Schiavone was still a part of it, so it still sucked. But I'm glad William was there, and he was pretty cool. Now, one thing I want to mention about Tony Khan before I pass on the meeting with Tony Khan, getting to meet Tony Khan was exceptional for many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons was seeing relatability in his face, because at one time I decided, hey, I've got some extra money here. What am I going to do with my extra money? Well, I am going to throw it down the wrestling hole, and I'm going to open a company. And I did that. Now, on a much smaller scale, of course, than Tony Khan, but I seen the same thing I seen in my own face. It's like, I know what he's doing. I know why he's doing it. And it's for the same reasons I did it. And it's not to make money. It was to
no, he's not making any money, and he's not increasing ratings at all. But man, he's putting together he's putting together the most, it's hard to say that, consistent show.
Yeah.
If you put it up against Raw, SmackDown's great. Raw sucks. Raw is almost unwatchable.
You know how he does it? With love.
He hired a bunch of former WWE talent, and is doing it that way.
It's that same love that the fans show him back. I mean, he is showing the fans love. The fans are showing that love right back, and that love is the magic ingredient in the AEW pie.
He's putting on a show with a group of wrestlers who still love wrestling, and that's the reason they're working. They love it as much as we love it, which means they're going to produce something that they want to watch themselves. And if they're going to put on a show good enough for them to watch, even though they already know what's happening, it's going to come across to us.
So, another moment that I'd like to mention, since we're talking about moments, I got to see Ricochet win the
U.S. title.
Yeah, the U.S. title. Nice. He won the United States Championship right there. It was the Intercontinental Championship.
Ooh, Intercontinental title against Shinsuke.
I was about to say Intercontinental, then you said U.S., and I was like, oh, am I wrong?
Shit,
I don't want to be wrong, but no, it is.
Because Finn Balor just won the U.S., right?
That's it. That's the one, yeah.
You got to have both those title changes right before WrestleMania to make sure you can build to the big event.
Yes.
Well, here's when we know that AEW is where they need to be and where we want them to be, because I really do want them to be there, preferably without a bunch of the Outlaw Mud Show shit. Which, man, a lot of those cats ain't coming around. You ain't seen Sonny Kiss in a while. You ain't seen Jelly Nutella in a while. You know what I mean? So he's being smart. He knows that he's got real, true star power now with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and FTR. He's doing it smart. But man, as once WWE starts trying to step it up because AEW's doing it better, that's when we know AEW is where they need to be. Because in that Pat McAfee interview, he references AEW, or Pat McAfee does. And he doesn't bury it. Vince McMahon doesn't bury it. He doesn't talk shit, which means he ain't worried. As soon as we hear Vince McMahon talk some shit, then we know that AEW is where we want them to be. Because let's be honest, as much as we loved what we saw from AEW, I liked less of it than what I think you all did. I think the dog collar match was fucking amazing. I think the Bryan Danielson finally got a good match out of the Nick Gage of AEW. I think that the 4-hour pay-per-view killed 4-hour pay-per-view and both female matches in the AEW, the pay-per-view killed the main event. The main event's great. But after fucking 4 hours and having to sit through like a 15-minute Jade Cargill fucking match, but Derek, talk about that, because we talked about it in the chat, because it was so much fun to with both of you all watch the show and you all be there and talk in real time. Derek, I could feel how hot the crowd was, and then Jade Cargill happened. Talk about that, Derek Jones.
So both the women's matches at AEW were just horrendous, put the crowd to sleep, horrendous. And I really had high hopes for Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. And even them, I hope it was better on TV than it was in the arena, but it was rough in the arena. And the biggest problem with it, and I'll say this every time I talk about women's wrestling, because there are some women that can wrestle and they're just being held back by one little thing, and it's an auditory response. You can't hear them in the arena because they're not big enough to make the reaction with the ring that the men do that carries through the arena to generate the pop. You can't hear what's going on because they're so much smaller than the men that it just doesn't work right. They need to mic that ring heavy for these women's wrestling matches, and you would probably get a better crowd reaction, a better crowd response, and better women's matches with that one little thing.
Maybe, and I'm going to ask you who your favorite female wrestler is, because I actually know, but a loud ass ring is not going to help Jade Cargill's terrible timing. And it's not like a mic'd up ring is not going to help her not botch everything. Now, Derek Jones, who is your favorite female wrestler of all time?
My favorite female wrestler of all time is Gail Kim.
Who weighs 97 pounds, who doesn't make sound, but she can fucking wrestle. So I think that you're being an AEW apologist, because I've been blowing up our chat because Adam Harris, what is that app that you gave me that has the Impact Wrestling channel on it?
Oh, it's is it the Pluto TV channel?
Pluto TV. Everybody, if you're a mark,
awesome.
Download Pluto TV. There is a channel on there that's called Impact Wrestling, and 24/7 there is Impact Wrestling. And that's what I've been watching more than anything. I've been watching so much old school Impact Wrestling, and I watched an hour of Awesome Kong and Gail Kim matches, and they are 5-star fucking classics compared to anything that we've seen in AEW. I don't give a fuck what Dave Meltzer says about the Thunder Rosa fucking Britt Baker lights out match. The women's wrestling in AEW has become untenable. It killed those matches. By the time Hangman came, maybe it was better in the crowd. Derek, you can speak to it. But while watching it on my completely legal pay-per-view stream, it seemed like they were wore out by the time the Hangman got up there.
So the crowd was pretty active for the Hangman match. The biggest thing that I noticed, and I think it was confusing, was we were in Florida. watching Adam Cole wrestle the AEW World Champion. And I'm going to say it one more time. We were in Florida watching Adam Cole. So half the arena wanted Adam Cole, which confused the other half of the arena because he's supposed to be the heel, but we're in Florida. That's where Adam Cole is. We were in his hometown. Like that's, and it really threw me off because everybody, they booed Hangman when he came out.
What?
Wow.
That didn't come across on the pay-per-view at all.
Hangman got booed when he come out, and everybody does the Adam Cole boom and the Bebe when he comes out, no matter where he's at, but it was loud in Florida. And so eventually they just stopped chanting for one or the other, and it was a "Let's Go Adam" chant. So everybody could do it.
There were signs that said, "Let's go Adam."
Yeah.
Nice.
So "Let's Go Adam," "Holy Adam." Like they took every regular AEW chant and just inserted the word Adam.
So to add to that, Adam Cole got a piece after the shows were all over and Rampage was done. They brought Adam Cole back out to talk to the crowd just to do the boom and the Adam Cole baby.
And that was it?
Yeah, that's all he did. And then he went around and met every single person in the front row.
That's where you got that picture, because there's a picture of you with Adam Cole. That's
Yeah,
not
he met
very
everybody.
heelish.
Everybody in the
heelish.
front row. Well, no, it was heelish because Tony Khan forced him. So he was forced by Tony Khan to meet everybody in the front row by contractual obligation.
Wow.
That's good. That's good.
So
Go ahead.
So one thing I kind of want to touch on a little bit. I don't know if it was noticeable on TV or not, but it fucked with everybody at the show while it was going on. Hardcam was on the wrong side of the arena. So if you notice at the pay-per-view when Adam Cole come out, he goes to the normal side, he gets up on the apron, and then everybody's telling him, "Hey, turn around, turn around."
I saw the ref tell him that. Tell him that.
So the hard cam being on the wrong side messed with everybody for Rampage and Revolution. Nobody could get squared up on where they were supposed to be. And I don't know why they put it on that side, but there was no real reason for it, but it did. It messed with everybody.
Weird small oversights on AEW with that, man. And I get it every time I watch AEW. It's just like these weird small moments that they miss. And like, I get it missing every once in a while, but man, it just happens so often that I'm just like, it's so obvious that you just blew these shots, man. And there's those weird things that slip through the cracks that I just don't know how it happens still at this level, man.
It was very apparent during the Sting Darby Allin match.
Yeah.
The cuts, like maybe live where you were able to see it all and take it all in, but man, on my extremely legal pay-per-view stream, it was a mess. You couldn't understand what was going on. You had no idea what was going on. You'd already seen 2 classics before that, and then it was just this fucking pell-mell mess of a thing that did not come across on TV, which it sounds like you liked it better in the arena.
Oh, the arena was fantastic. And I'm one, I normally like to hear commentary. Most wrestling events I go to, I'm just sitting here thinking, God, I would love to have commentary in my ear. I wish they would have some little portable thing I could rent or something like at a NASCAR race where I could hear the commentators during the match. It would be a great idea, a great little addition, just a single headphone so I could listen. But I didn't miss that at all for Revolution.
Man, Tony Schiavone was on his game, yo.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I could have that service, I would pay extra to be able to mute Excalibur.
Oh,
yes,
God.
please.
Oh God, dude, it's but they're like, again, going back to watching all that Impact. There's no good reason why Taz is not the caller. There's 3 play-by-play guys. Dude,
Mike Tenay is one of the best of all time.
Dude, any of those Impact that I've been watching too much Impact lately. And man, Mike Tenay and Taz is 2 of the greatest commentator duos of all time. And the problem with JR and Tony Schiavone and his stupid earrings and fucking excrement is you got 3 play-by-plays. No one is trying to do collar. It's awful. It's the worst commentating ever.
You know, I'm an earring guy, and every time I see Tony Schiavone every time I see Tony Schiavone wearing earrings, I want to out of my head.
I've got him too, brother. He looks terrible. He looks cringy.
Yeah, it's really bad on him. Everything's bad on him. I just can't stand him. His pants at the event were so wrinkled that I had to scream out, iron your pants.
No, Tony.
Yeah, and what I did notice though is the crowd, the AEW machine, loves Tony Schiavone,
which makes me worry about it because it seems like they're just taking bullshit and just saying yay to anything.
Yes, and when Excalibur came out, it was like Hulk Hogan came out. They tried so hard.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
And this guy behind me, he was like, "We love you, Tony," and I was like, I just turned around to him and was like, "Do we? Do we love Tony Schiavone? Like, how fucking long are we going to pretend like this guy is something fucking special? Like I don't understand it whatsoever." But to give you a quick rundown of some of the things that stood out to me, SmackDown. Got to see Ronda Rousey. That was a very cool moment. To see Ronda Rousey in person was cool. To see Ricochet win the Intercontinental Championship was awesome. To see that match with the Usos and Viking Raiders. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that match was off the charts awesome.
They killed it. It was an awesome match.
And it was great actually to see Johnny Knoxville, just because I've never seen Johnny Knoxville before. So seeing Johnny Knoxville live in person, kind of cool. One thing that stood out to me that sucked about my SmackDown experience was no Brock Lesnar. I really wanted to see Brock Lesnar. I did not get to see Cowboy Brock Lesnar. And
dude,
that was
Happy Viking Warrior Brock is the best Brock Lesnar. He is absolutely the best thing in wrestling today.
I would
Brock
agree.
Lesnar is fucking destroying him.
The best thing in wrestling today is Roman Reigns, but Brock is a
1A, 1B.
Second. No, he's a close second. Now, one thing that I will talk about the things that stood out to me with AEW. Of course, we talked about Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky.
Was it the Layla Hirsch Thunder Rosa match?
Well, no, it wasn't. But I tell you that there's something about that did stand out. Is I knew Layla Hirsch was short, but I had no fucking idea how short the woman is. She is so short that it's unbelievable that she is a wrestler. She's so short. But it was very interesting to see that. Also, did you know that Anthony Henry and JD Drake, who took on John Moxley and Bryan Danielson, I'm not sure why these guys got TV time, but do you know that their name is the Workhorsemen?
Yes. Derek, tell me, the chubby gray-haired dude, I've seen him in indies, right? Like indies in our area.
Yeah, JD Drake, he's made towns. I mean, he wrestled Evolve for a long time. I mean, he's a pretty big staple in the indie scene for quite some time.
Why? You know what I mean? Like, there you go. You know, you get MJF and CM Punk doing one of the best gimmick matches of all time, and then that guy's on TV. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like it's almost like they can't help themselves.
So to go through the rest of the things that kind of stood out, the fact that Chris Jericho was heel turning on the rest of the Inner Circle, and then we seen Matt Hardy's faction heel turn on him. It was like it was almost like seeing a repeat of the same exact thing over again. So that was kind of weird. Another thing that I didn't like about my experience with AEW is I was thinking, I'm coming for the fallout of the pay-per-view. This should be awesome. You know what I mean? I feel like this will be really great to be there for the fallout. And then it turns out that fallout just means I'm not going to see CM Punk. I'm not going to see MJF. And we're not going to see Wardlow wrestle. I really wanted that stuff, but
except for you getting to see Jeff Hardy come out, that episode was, and of course William Regal getting to address the crowd. That episode was pretty brutal. I know you like that Sammy Guevara match. Okay. I'm glad that Scorpio, Tony Khan is so internet savvy because there were so many memes that were talking about the Face of the Revolution, god awful ladder match that Scorpio Sky, who won it last year, has had 5 televised matches since the last time he won the golden hemorrhoid fucking pillow. And Tony Khan was aware of that. And he was like, okay, meme makers. And that's why he put Scorpio Sky on. That's why he put the belt on him. Because Scorpio Sky has been a rumor in AEW since the last time when he grabbed the brass ring. So that shows you how in tuned to the internet community that Tony Khan is.
My question on that is, are they about to just feed Scorpio Sky to Wardlow next week?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. I don't know if I agree.
Wardlow's not losing. Wardlow's going to be a fucking...
too soon. Too soon.
Wardlow's going to be a star. He's a star.
So before we get out of here today, we not we, because the three of you can't make the trip for some reason because you definitely have seats. But
I got to go to Vegas, homie.
You're not going to make it. But on March 20th, on Sunday, I will be live with a couple of my good friends at Strong Style Evolved, the New Japan Pro Wrestling taping for Strong Style Evolved 2022. It's going to be a really exciting event. I cannot wait to be there. House of Kayfabe will be in the house, and the card is as follows, gentlemen. We're talking about the DKC versus Kevin Knight, Adam Brown versus Haiku Leo, Big Damo versus John Schuyler, Josh Alexander versus Carl Fredericks, Juice Robinson and David Finlay versus Shane Hast and Jonah, formerly Bronson Reed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Daniel Garcia is going to be there with Fred Yehi versus Fred Rosser and Eddie Kingston. We'll also see Wheeler Yuta and Rocky Romero versus Black Tiger and JR Kratos. Yuyo Yumura. Am I saying that right, Derek?
Yes.
Yuya Yumura. And taking on Buddy Matthews. We will see Dirty Tom Lawler versus Clark Connors. TJP versus Mascara Dorado, formerly from the WWE. Blake Christian versus Swerve. And in the main event, Jay Lethal versus Ren Narita.
So that's where Jay Lethal is. I thought he was in AEW going to become a star, but I guess he's having to go to New Japan.
You were talking, and I forgot to tell you this. This is really important. Okay, so we had an experience at WrestleCade with Jay Lethal, where we were talking to Jay Lethal. I was talking to him first. I had talked to him about this interview. We were going to do an interview with Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal was all about it. We had even talked about developing a hot sauce for Mr. Lethal. He was all in. And then he seen Stephen P. New's name, and he was like, fuck you. And he did not want to talk to us anymore because of Stephen P. New.
You're burying the lead. As a Ring of Honor fanatic, and the reason why I'm a Ring of Honor fanatic is that my old house 8 years ago, I didn't have cable upstairs, but I did have an antenna. And if you got an antenna, you can watch Ring of Honor almost any time after midnight.
You can definitely tell you're from West Virginia when you say antenna.
Goddamn right, son. And dude, my antenna gave me my love of Ring of Honor, and I fucking love Jay Lethal. Now, I love Stephen P. New.
Me too.
I love all of you. And mine and Adam's job, and Matt Mullins, shout out Molly, was to go. This was so scarring. I called Derek Jones immediately to tell him about it. Our job, Brian Resner, the fucking hustler of hustlers, has set us up in this creepy back alley area of the WrestleCade, and we
that look really nice.
We made it definitely not look rapey on camera,
right?
But in real life, little rapey. We are going out and we're going to get the talent. We're fucking wrangling, right? And I see Jay Lethal. I'm like, I fucking love Jay Lethal. And I go up to Jay Lethal. And, we're coattail riders for life. I know that Stephen P. New and Brian Resner's name is the reason that we get into doors. And I, Steve, Jay Lethal fanatic, go up to Jay Lethal. And I'm like, Jay Lethal, I love you. You're great. Would you like to be on our podcast? He's like, sure, man, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, well, it's the House of Kayfabe with Brian Resner and Stephen P. New. Then the heel turn showed up. And he said, no. He was like, not only no, but fuck no. And he said, Stephen P. New has, done some things in the court that has affected me adversely, which is, that's not exactly what he said. and he could show, and I was so earnestly like just deflated, and I was like, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And you know what? You know how fucking like classy that guy is? He put both of his arms on my shoulders. He was like, dude, I understand. I can tell you didn't know. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
He's like, but fuck House of Kayfabe, and just roll out.
Okay, so anyway, I had that conversation with Jay Lethal before you had your conversation.
You didn't say Stephen P. New, huh?
I did not. The entire time I did not say Stephen P. New, and I was ready to set my interview up. But then when I went back to him, he had already talked to you, so he already knew about Stephen P. New. And then that's when he told me, "Listen, I like you, but I can't fuck with you because you fuck with Stephen P. New."
And then later, when we told Stephen P. New that, Stephen P. New said, fuck him. He's not going to be on my podcast. So me and Brian were fucked. We were just in the middle of two titans of the wrestling
industry. I would love to bring Jay Lethal on to talk about exactly why he hates Stephen P. New. I would like to have Stephen P. New on there to talk to Jay Lethal about why they hate each other. I would love to do that. But at AEW Dynamite, or actually this would be at Dark. On Dark, Jay Lethal was in the main event. Jay Lethal, after his match, gets out of the ring, right in the center, right where I'm at, walks directly up to me, looks me right in my face as if I am a shitty human being that he's ready to slap the shit out of. I'm standing there.
In a House of Kayfabe t-shirt.
In a House of Kayfabe t-shirt with Stephen P. New's name on it. He walks directly up to me and looks at me like he is angry at me. And then he raises his hand and gives me a high five.
Nice.
There was no doubt in my mind that he knew who I was. He knew what was going on. He knew that I was Stephen P. New's tag team partner. And he still gave me a high five because it didn't matter how much Stephen P. New hated him or how much he hated us or whatever. I still fucking love Jay Lethal.
I love him. I love him so much, man.
And so he gave me a high five. I did think that was pretty awesome. So that New Japan card that I just ran down for you guys, pretty impressive. It's going to be a pretty awesome show. We were there the last time that New Japan Pro Wrestling came to America. We seen them that time in Miami. This time we are going to see them in St. Petersburg, Florida, and that is March 20th. Tickets are available now at New Japan Pro Wrestling's website, which is njpw1972.com. And you can get tickets yourself and you can come set with me. We'll be there with a whole crew. House of Kayfabe, Invade, Strong Style, Evolved, March 20th, Sunday in St. Petersburg, Florida. They have it listed as Tampa, Florida, but it's at the St. Petersburg Coliseum and the address is St. Petersburg, Florida. So I'm not sure why they're calling it Tampa, but it is definitely St. Petersburg at the Coliseum, and we cannot wait to be a part of it. Now, we have talked about live wrestling, and of course, we're going to talk more about New Japan after we go to it, and we have some interviews scheduled with some New Japan stars that we will be announcing very soon, so stay tuned to that. If you are listening to this on the podcast stream and you want to see the pictures from the events, then you will need to go to YouTube. And if you go to YouTube, make sure you click subscribe. We are on the hunt for subscribers. So make sure you hit subscribe here, there, and everywhere because you want to be subscribed to the House of Kayfabe. Thank you so much for joining me, Derek Jones, and all of your awesome wrestling stories. Stephen Barker and Adam Harris here to listen to what we did as marks all week long. And we've got more to come because the House of Kayfabe is everywhere. And the quicker you realize that, the quicker you will be in the know. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time right here on the House of Kayfabe.